into 3 parts: anticipation, vacation, recuperation. And that middle part, the vacation part, sometimes we do that with our boy C.Y. and his sweet young thing of a wife, Stephanie Michelle. Sometimes we go on vacations in the car, and C.Y. always wants to drive. He likes to drive, even if he's not quite sure where he's going. One time we'd driven a good long way. Stephanie got studying the map, and she said, "I think we're lost." And C.Y. said, "Oh, that doesn't matter as long as we're making good time." You do have to admire his attitude. We tried to cruise one time, but we had to give up on that because Stephanie and I discovered that the mere dripping of a faucet is enough to make us seasick. Summer before last, we decided to go on a tour of Italy. We spent most of our time in Tuscany, famous for its good food. C.Y. likes to eat, nearly as well as he likes to drive. When we checked into our hotel up there in the Tuscan Hills, there was a sign on the front desk. It said, "English spoken, American understood." So C.Y. said, in his best Texican American, he said, "What time do y'all serve meals around here?" And the desk clerk answered right away. He said, "Breakfast is served from 6:30 to 9. Lunch is served from 11:30 to 3. And dinner is served from 6:30 to 9:30. And C.Y. said, "Well, dang, that doesn't leave much time for sightseeing, does it?" But sightseeing we did. We did most of our traveling in a big old bus, a motor coach, the tour director called it, but it was a bus. Our tour director was a woman named Barbara, and there were a couple of dozen people in our tour group, and Barbara carried a pink umbrella. That's what we were to watch for when we were in crowded places, which we frequently were. The only problem was every tour director in Italy carries an umbrella, a good many of them pink. There must have been a sale. So one day we followed the wrong one. We got lost. You see, we were in Siena, and it was really crowded in Siena that day. I mean, there were so many people in the piazza, the town square, that they were getting in one another's photographs. And of course, we took a lot of pictures. And Stephanie, she spent a good deal of her time posting them on Facebook. I still remember one caption she wrote. It said, "These are some of the ruins in Italy, including some in our tour group." And since my husband and I were the 2 oldest people in that tour group, we tried not to be offended. Well, the reason it was so crowded in Siena, you see, is that we happened to get there on the day of the big horse race, Il Palio, they call it. And we followed the wrong umbrella because, you see, I need to tell you that the piazza there in Siena is not really square, as in a town square. It is fan-shaped, making it real easy to go in semicircles, which is what we did when we followed the wrong umbrella. We were looking down every little narrow street, hoping to see some sign of Barbara and her pink umbrella, or some sign of somebody in our tour group. But directly we started following a bunch of flag bearers and drummers, figuring that they might be part of Il Palio and they might be headed back to the piazza. They weren't. So we found ourselves going deeper and deeper into the outer recesses of the city. Well, finally they got to what must have been their own neighborhood. And that's when we saw the horses, 3 of them, in a corral. You see, as I understand it, every little district, every little section of Siena has its own entry in the horse race. But we could pick out the racehorse right away because he had little streamers coming off of his bridle. No saddle. They ride bareback in Siena. But that's when C.Y. had an idea. The boy is full of them. He said, why don't we see if we can't rent those other two horses and follow that one to the racehorse back to the piazza. And you know that sounded like a pretty good idea. So we began to negotiate in our best friends spoke Italian with the help of a bystander who spoke pretty good English. Well, the owner of the horses wanted to know if we could ride. Can we ride? Can we ride? Is the Pope Catholic? Do Italians love pasta? Do they tell stories in George West? Of course we can ride. We're from Texas. Well, the deal hadn't been struck. We set off, riding double, riding bareback, following the racehorse, following the drummers, following the flag bearers. Now people were lying in the street, all of them waving little flags and shouting encouraging things in Italian. And finally we got back to the piazza, and there were even more people there. I mean, throngs of people. So we are threading our way through the crowd, headed toward our bus, which was parked right near the starting line of the race. Well, my husband and I managed to get our horse parallel parked alongside the bus. But C.Y. was having trouble getting his horse to turn around. So thinking to expedite matters, Stephanie gave that horse a good swift kick in the flanks, and it so startled the beast that it gave a great crow hop and threw her right straight up in the air. And when she came down, landed seated on C.Y.'s shoulders, looking just like a rodeo trick rider. In the interim, the red horse had sidled over next to its racehorse corralling at the starting line. So when the gun sounded, they were off. All 11 of them, including C.Y. and Stephanie's horse. Well, at first C.Y. was pulling back on the reins thinking to turn his horse or stop it, but all he